is Wrestling Reverb. And now your host,
Josh Robinson.
Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Wrestling Reverb. This is the Smackdown review for July 31st, 2018. And we're going to jump right in because I have a lot of thoughts on what was another excellent edition of Smackdown. The last few weeks of Smackdown, I said last week in my first ever edition of Wrestling Reverb that Smackdown has just been knocking it out of the park every week. It's just a much more refined and just quality show. It's the quality of the two. It's probably my favorite part of wrestling on a week in, week out basis, just in whole. It's just a really, 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 really good show. So we'll jump right in, and Becky Lynch started off. And Becky, as I've stated in multiple editions of Wrestling Reverb, that Becky is just everything to me. I'm so on this Becky hype train. I'm all about it, as a lot of us are. And she comes out talking about how she wants to win the SmackDown Women's Championship at SummerSlam. Renee Young is interviewing her. Another thing to note is Becky come out to quite a large pop. It's nice. It's just nice when someone is organically over. Anyhow, she just basically said she's going to take the title from Carmella at SummerSlam, which cues in the SmackDown Women's Champion, the Princess of Staten Island, Carmella. She comes out, and this promo, everything I've said about Carmella, because everyone knows my thoughts and my feelings on Carmella, is that I'm not a fan. But everything I've said has been, I'm not a fan of her in-ring work. I just don't think, inside the squared circle, bell to bell, I just don't see the value in her. I really don't. I'm not saying, and I've never said that she's, the worst wrestler that's ever existed. She, doesn't know what she's doing. I just don't think she's provided a quality match with top-tier talent that has quality matches with, a well-rounded number of people. I just don't think it's coincidence that she's not providing quality championship matches that we want and we honestly have been getting out of the Women's Championship, so we expect a certain level. This is the thing with the women now. It's no longer about, oh, they had a good match. Oh, look, it's starting to get better and better. We expect the best now because we know what the women can deliver, so that's the expectation. So they've set the bar so high is that people like Carmella can't quite keep up in ring work, inside the ring. However, this promo that Carmella cut was probably her best promo that she's ever cut. And I think one thing that I've tried to get out of all this criticism and tried to make people understand is that character-wise, in-ring-wise, promo-wise, I think Carmella is very, very good. And that's what's kept her safe. If she couldn't do the promo, if she couldn't do the character, if she couldn't do, the stuff she's been doing lately on the mic, I don't think she would have, A, gotten the championship, and B, if she had gotten the championship, it certainly still wouldn't be around her waist. But yeah, Carmella absolutely killed it in this promo and was talking about how, she's gotten some online hate, and there's so much truth about this promo because, as Jim Ross said, she had, quote-unquote, go-away heat, which basically, for those who don't know, most of us are wrestling fans know what go-away heat is, but for those who don't, it's basically just the shitty kind of heat. Not the good heat where it's like, you're a good heel, it's the, I need you off my screen heat. So, there's that. But yeah, she was basically talking about that, almost in tears. And then James Ellsworth's music hit, and as everyone knows, last week on SmackDown Live, Paige fired James Ellsworth, and then Carmella ends up attacking Becky. She gets out of chair, looks like she was going to do something destructive to Becky, and cues up, in comes the returning from injury, the Queen, Charlotte Flair. saving her best friend from Carmella, the SmackDown Women's Champion, and Flair and Becky embrace as Carmella heads to the back, obviously annoyed. We go into a backstage a pre-tape kind of segment, promo segment with the Usos. The Usos, no surprise here, another quality backstage segment. They take some things from The Rock, and it's just good stuff, as always, with the Usos. Before we get to that match, there's a backstage segment with the SmackDown General Manager Paige, who, again, always kills it. I know I'm going to say this a lot about SmackDown, but just everyone on SmackDown is just kind of making their moments. They're taking the most of their opportunities, and they're really, whatever segment it is, they seem to be giving it 1,000% effort, which is something we need and something we want, and it just makes everything better in wrestling. It just doesn't... It just, across the board, for fans it's better, for the performers it's better, for everything. It just, everyone involved, there's no losers, it's all winners. So, but Paige has been doing an incredible job. Carmella comes in saying she should be ashamed of herself for what she did. Paige says that to Carmella. Carmella disses Paige and says something that Paige will never be again is something that Carmella is right now, and that is champion. Paige, obviously, career-ending injury. We don't need to go into that, but Paige gets irate and announces Charlotte Flair versus Carmella for our main event, and if Charlotte Flair wins, it becomes a triple threat match for the SmackDown Women's Championship at SummerSlam. We'll get more into that as we talk about the match, because I have some pretty strong opinions on that. But anyway, we get the Usos versus the Bar. Absolutely incredible matches you would expect from these two teams. Absolutely killed it. You know the expectation from these teams, of these two teams, but just a great match. New Day on commentary doing some great stuff. They had an announce table with pancakes and, all the outrageous things that we love about the New Day. And, the Bar actually go over, which I was wrong about last week. I thought the Usos were going to go over, but the Bar go over. Just great stuff all around there. Everyone involved was a winner in that segment. Nothing to be ashamed of. Really, really good stuff. So we have a backstage segment with Renee Young interviewing Charlotte Flair, asking about possibly getting the title shot at SummerSlam. Flair said she was just there to help her best friend Becky, but now she has this opportunity thanks to Carmella. She said and another thing is Charlotte actually said she didn't expect to be at SummerSlam, yet alone be in a title match. So she knows that Carmella has beaten her, and that's basically how we go about this segment. So Samoa Joe comes out, and another fantastic promo. Samoa Joe and AJ Styles, we know the history between them. We know they're going to tear down the house. Samoa Joe calls AJ a bad father and a bad husband, and, just some pretty horrible, cruel things. And, something that I'm sure next week when AJ Styles is on SmackDown Live, they hyped his return, it's not going to ride well. It's not going to sit well with AJ. Joe ends it basically saying that his family they're pulling for him instead of AJ, and great stuff again. Joe and AJ at SummerSlam, like I said just before, will tear down the house. It would probably be something that we've lacked the last few months since the Shinsuke program. Is AJ Styles, he fought Rusev, and it was the match was fine. There was nothing wrong with it at all. But I think just the level of hype wasn't quite as, here. And we kind of knew that this was just, the Rusev stuff was just to get to the next spot for something that AJ to do that didn't hurt anyone else, and not rushing into another program. And I think this Joe program will kind of take off and keep going after SummerSlam. But yeah, great. As always, from Joe and from, AJ wasn't there, but I'm sure next week it'll be great stuff. Jeff Hardy comes back after the absolutely horrendous attack a couple of weeks ago by Randy, with a finger in his ear and all that quality stuff. Randy Orton, I'm not Randy Orton's biggest fan. I never have been Randy Orton's biggest fan, but this is where he shines. And tonight was no different. Tonight was prime example of why Randy Orton is so good in his role and has just, you could tell he's just been waiting to be this heel character, to be this psycho, Viper. This is Randy Orton in his finest. He's reminding us why Randy Orton is, one of the best, if not the best, in WWE, and future Hall of Famer, 14-time WWE champion. He's just absolutely incredible. There's nothing about Randy Orton in this scenario that you just can't help but really appreciate why he's there and why you can tell he's making the most of this opportunity, because he doesn't want to, not knock it out of the park, because, opportunities don't come around and we don't want him to go back into this boring staleness that he was as a babyface. So another quality segment where Jeff Hardy comes out and he's, yapping about he wants to get his United States Championship back and he wants to beat the hell out of Randy Orton. Randy Orton comes out. Hardy's ready for a fight, but Nakamura comes in and drops Hardy with a kick to the head. Nakamura attacks Hardy and goes for a Kinshasa, and Randy Orton gets in the way and kind of stares down Shinsuke, and he stares him down. And I think what they were and what I kind of took from it is that, listen, Shinsuke isn't Randy's problem right now, but he wants the United States Championship. I think this is all building to the triple threat at SummerSlam between the three. I'm all for it. Everything involved at the moment with those three is kind of golden. It's kind of nothing is going wrong for this, knock on wood. And Jeff is such an incredible babyface. Randy is such an incredible heel at the moment. And Shinsuke is he's a heel, no doubt. But he's kind of just floating in. And this week he really inserted himself into this. And yeah, it's just top work. So Randy ends up getting out of the way, gets hit with a Kinshasa. Nakamura gets out of there. And Randy's hyping up the crowd. Looks like we're going to see an RKO. And he just drops him down instead. Basically saying, fuck you, everyone. I ain't getting involved in that. And just, I applauded it. I was like, that was incredible. Why would he pander to the audience when they didn't want him? And so he ends up beating the tar out of Jeff again. Just DDTs in the ring and on the floor from the announce table, just beating the crap out of him. And then he gets some water and a piece of paper towel and he just wipes off Jeff's face paint. I actually watched Smackdown. Unlike other weeks, I actually watched it with my sister and Ryan Madden, who was on a couple episodes ago. Shout out to him. Also, on a side note, he will be back very soon. Kind of going into more of a kind of discussing, without going into detail too much, of him being a pretty permanent co-host for me, because we really connected on the podcast a few episodes ago, and that podcast has gotten the most feedback out of everyone, and I think I want to have Ryan on more so than not have him on. So, but anyway, that's a different conversation for something down the line. But yeah, he wipes off his face paint, and yeah, like I said, I was watching it with a couple of people today, and I kind of said, is this going to be something now, I could be completely swinging left of field here, but is Jeff going to become woken or broken, whatever you want to call it? Is this what this is kind of leading to? A little bit more laid back in ring style, but turn the character not dial all the way up, so Jeff can kind of, yeah, and that could be fun. That could be fun as we head into SummerSlam. So once we come out of that, we go into Renee Young again, and she's outside of Becky Lynch's locker room. She asked Becky about Charlotte and the possibility of her going into the becoming a triple threat at SummerSlam for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Becky said she's happy to have Charlotte back. She's not thrilled about the possible triple threat match at SummerSlam because she knows she can beat Carmella. And Renee then asks Becky if she's pulling for Carmella to win and keep it a one-on-one match. And Becky said she never bets against her best friend. Again, more on that as we head towards the main event. We'll go into Lana and Zelina Vega. Now, on social media this week, Lana cut an absolutely incredible promo. She was just sitting in a car with a camera in her hand, her phone, I'm assuming. And this promo was everything that a promo has to be. Lana, said what it's like to be ravishing and, keep our men out of this. Let's fight this out. You really want to fight? Let's have it. So Paige ends up going on Twitter and announcing Zelina versus Lana for this episode of SmackDown. Zelina had one match in NXT with Candice LeRae. If you followed Zelina's career, she was in TNA. She was, all over wrestling all over the world. She's above, she's a talented in-ring worker. Lana, I will say Lana actually has done nothing but improve. She has showed, if you take Lana from now and Lana from a year ago, it's polar. It's pretty much polar opposites at this point. She's done nothing but improve. She's just getting better in every aspect. This girl is trying so hard, and that's something you can give her, credit for, because you can tell that there is a difference and there is progression, and that's what we all want from, any performer. Is we want progression and we want them to get better. We want everyone to be the best, because then that way the whole show is the best. If there's no one bad on the show, the whole show just kind of benefits from that. So Lana and Zelina, the match is fine. Almost comes out with Zelina, but Rusev doesn't come out with Lana. So she kept her man out of this, but Zelina did not keep her business associate out of this. A couple of really good things in there. The finish of the match is what to talk about most. Aiden comes down, and so almost got up on the apron to distract Lana, and Aiden comes in, pulls him down. Lana gets distracted in the process. Roll up, 1, 2, 3. Zelina Vega is the winner. We go into a backstage segment, and Lana is pissed. Lana is not happy. And, she says, blah, blah, blah. Aiden apologizes, and Rusev comes shouting out Aiden's name, and it doesn't look good in the world of Rusev Day. So we'll see where that goes. And, I will say, though, Lana said that she probably needed Rusev out there, and she stormed off, and it is what it is. So nothing but, drama and a little bit of tension in the Rusev clan. Daniel Bryan comes out. He has a microphone in his hand. He plugs the women's division and women's evolution. He shows there's a replay of the fake baby toss from last week. He basically calls out Miz because he wants to punch Miz right in his face, as he's been saying for years. He just wants to punch Miz in his face. Miz, in very Miz fashion, appears on the big screen with 2 security guards. He said he's on set of Miz and Mrs. Oh, by the way, I watched the first episode of Miz and Mrs. last week, and that show is fantastic. I won't get into it too much, but that show has been nothing but great. I'm excited to see where that reality trash kind of TV. It is trash TV, but I like it. And to me, it's still a form of a wrestling show. So, debate that all you want, because I know I'm probably wrong in that aspect, but I still consider it a part of my wrestling week. Anyway, basically, it's the standard Miz and Bryan stuff. goes on to say Brian goes on to say Miz is soft in the ring, and Miz won't give away a free fight, and he needs to call his agent, and blah blah blah. It basically ends with Brian challenging Miz for SummerSlam, and all Miz does is mock Daniel Bryan for being a crybaby because he's wah. Heaps of babies come on the screen and they're all crying, and we don't get a confirmation of this SummerSlam match. We all know it's going to happen, and we all know it's going to tear the house down. Could easily be match of the night. Could easily be, it's the most anticipated match because it's been building for 8.5 years. So we're very ready for this. I'm very ready for this. I'm very excited for this. Brian is just, Brian. He is a different entity than a lot of people. Fans love him. He's just organic. He's just everyday guy. You know how it is. I love The Miz. I think Miz is on another level of so many people. In ring wise, Miz is just killing it as of late. Promo wise, we all know Miz is great. These two are just like, there's nothing that can really do too much that will make this go sour. Everyone is so ready for this. This is just the journey. We know the destination is SummerSlam. We know the destination is, possibility of match of the night. After the match is a different thing, and we'll talk about, other things, but we know they're going to kill it, and it's very exciting time to watch these two. So then we go into the main event, and it's Charlotte Flair and Carmella. Now, when thinking back, if you think back to Backlash, Charlotte Flair and Carmella had that match was bad. It was just Backlash as a whole. I wish I was doing the podcast at this time, because that would have been a very, very interesting card to talk about, because Backlash was not a good show, and that match was probably the worst match of Backlash, and that's saying something, because there was a lot of bad on Backlash. But so when going into this match, I was like, main event of Smackdown, and I know how these two worked at Backlash. I was not expecting anything amazing. This was about the finish and nothing else. But pleasantly surprised, they had a much better match than they did at Backlash. It wasn't incredible. It wasn't, something that we'll talk about for years to come, but it was good. It was much better than Backlash. It was Charlotte's first match back. Carmella is, how I am on Carmella in the ring. I'm not in love with Carmella's in-ring work, but she was keeping up with Charlotte, which is something that we all should be thankful for. Charlotte ends up going over, and the triple threat match is official. Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Carmella, SmackDown Women's Championship at SummerSlam. Now, okay. I was on this is Becky's moment. And this is Becky's time to have her own spotlight, one-on-one with Carmella. It was time for Becky to get that championship in Brooklyn. It was finally Becky's moment. It was building to that. It was naturally happening. The momentum was on Becky's side. Now, when that tap out happened and the match was officially, happening, I was not impressed. And this is nothing on Charlotte, because I do like Charlotte, but I just thought, no, this should be kept one-on-one. This is Becky's spotlight. This is the time. But after, we're so many 8 hours, 9 hours removed from SmackDown, it's so much better. Because the prospect of what happens after, there's so many possibilities. So let's go into scenario one where Becky Lynch wins. Okay, Becky Lynch wins the championship. Charlotte could easily turn heel on Becky, and we go into a program that leads us right into Evolution in a couple of months. That is what I wouldn't say I'm most, out of all the scenarios that I got in my head, wouldn't say I'm the most keen on that one. But Becky wins. I'm fine with that. I want Becky to win, so this is more than okay with me. Scenario 2, what I think is most likely to happen is that Charlotte beats Becky in the triple threat for the championship, and either Charlotte turns on Becky saying, this was my plan all along, we got to heel Charlotte again, or we go into something completely different and we turn Becky. And, Charlotte stole my moment, this was my time, Charlotte just waltzes on back in here, how dare she? Either or. Well, okay, scenario 3 would be Carmella just wins. I really hope that doesn't happen. It could very well happen in a triple threat scenario where, two best friends are involved. Carmella could walk away with the championship. That's what I'm hoping out of all of it doesn't happen. But either, Evolution, Charlotte and Becky are colliding. I'm pretty confident that that's what's going to happen, is that at some point Charlotte or Becky turns on the other. No complaints from me. They have had killer matches in the past. I desperately want to see a Charlotte heel turn. She just shines in that entity of hers. She knows, and she knows now, going babyface, that she knows what the babyface needs, because she craves that from a heel. So she knows what she's doing in a heel role, obviously. She'll just come out of her shell again in that role. She's gotten a little bit stagnant and stale in this role, but that's what I'm hoping for. But hey, we've never really seen Becky Lynch heel except for her, brief heel run in NXT. So I am excited if Becky can pull this off. Becky, although, is the most organically natural over baby face in the women's division at the moment, maybe other than a Ronda Rousey, but that's for different reasons. So Becky, it could go either way, but I'm down to see what happens. Either we're getting a Charlotte-Becky match. I'm presuming at Evolution. I'm pretty confident in saying that. I'm very ready for that. The SmackDown Women's title is very ready for that. The SmackDown Women's division is very ready for that, because they haven't been having, outstanding killer matches as of late. They need that. Raw's been kicking it out of the park in terms of... Well, I wouldn't even say Raw's been kicking it out of the park, because other than the aspect of Ronda and Nia, there really hasn't been anything incredible. There's just been kind of good. Bliss and Nia, I didn't think had a very good match at Extreme Rules. I've said that in the past. I just didn't think it was very good. Bliss is just, in the ring she's better than Carmella, but at times it can seem she's just, we won't get into Bliss because this is SmackDown and we're not talking about Alexa Bliss. But I'm very ready for that happening. After the match, Becky Lynch is, watching the monitor from the side, as all wrestlers do. That'd be a terrible view. But she's not happy. Well, she doesn't appear to be happy that Charlotte wins and it's a triple threat. We'll see more about that next week. All in all, another great episode of SmackDown Live. I have no complaints on the SmackDown side. Absolutely everything to me is interesting. I'm so much more ready for the matches of SmackDown Live than I am for Raw, just because there's more substance. There's more going on. I just think Raw is built on a lot of rematches with the, we've just seen it all before, where I understand we've seen AJ Styles and Samoa Joe before, but we haven't seen that in WWE. We haven't seen the triple threat that those girls can put on, or those US title boys. We haven't seen that. We're just getting a lot more from the SmackDown side in terms of quality than Raw. And it's just... SmackDown is just a better show. You'll hear that, in the more Raw and SmackDown reviews. I just think SmackDown, especially with this lead up to SummerSlam, has been kind of untouchable against Raw. They're just killing it, and every single guy and girl on that show is just taking the most of their time, maximizing their minutes, and just being, they've just been on fire. SmackDown is just a great show to watch. And that's just not all about timing and stuff like that. It's not all about being a 2-hour show and, you know, Raw being a 3-hour show. It's also just the content that is provided, the people, that, you know, the characters, the work rate. It's just better. It's just a better show. Raw is a chore. I've said it many times, but Raw is a chore. Smackdown is not. Smackdown feels fun to watch. You look at the time and you're like, wow, it's been a 2-hour show already. You know, sometimes you look at the time when you're watching Raw and you're like, this show's only been going for an hour. I don't know. And I don't even hate Raw. I don't hate Raw. There's some things on Raw that I generally like, wow, that's incredible. But then there's just so much filler and there's more bad than good on Raw when SmackDown is just all so great. And we're building to so much more for SummerSlam on SmackDown than Raw. And just, yeah, what another brilliant show. I just could not be more happy with the product that SmackDown gives us every week. It's just been fun. SmackDown is just really fun. Alright, so that's all for SmackDown this week. I'm excited to see where everything goes. Excited to see where this Becky Charlotte Carmella thing goes. AJ Styles is back next week. Just excited for SmackDown. It's just so good. SmackDown is just like I said before, better show, better quality. SummerSlam is very exciting prospects for everyone involved. That is it for this episode of Wrestling Reverb. A little shorter, just because it's a 2-hour show, because it's a little bit shorter. But I gave my SmackDown review, put in my little dimes in the hat, and I will see you guys next time on Wrestling Reverb. Bye.
This is Wrestling Reverb.